Michael Chandler has come into the UFC and he has done exactly what they wanted him to do. He came in, he stirred things up. He has talked very well. He has made great interview moments that have stuck in people's minds. This whole thing, I'll see you at the top is a great thing. He's had some heat with Dustin Poirier. Then they kind of, DC had him on his show and had him like talking, and they were both being kind to each other. It's going to be a fight where both guys, in the end, they know what they're facing. It doesn't matter whether they have heat or not. It doesn't matter whether they like each other or not. What matters is who in this fight has the aptitude to be smart, to fight a smart fight. And
it sure the hell ain't Chandler.
Well, this is I think this is the whole thing.
When that guy can't fight smart if it saves his
physically,
life.
Physically, Michael Chandler, I think, is maybe a little bit better than Dustin Poirier as far as speed, strength, all those things. Michael Chandler's got it. He is a strong individual. He is well-conditioned. Dustin is well-conditioned also. I think Dustin has a bigger gas tank because he manages his fight better than Chandler does when it's tough. He gets those moments where he takes a break. Chandler shows his moments when he needs a break. You watch him bouncing back, and he's trying to gain space a little bit.
Yeah, he'll step back and bounce around and get his
bounces
breath.
Around to get you to like, oh, well, he's catching his breath in those moments. I really look at this. If I was going to say, look, who is the person, physically that should win this fight, it's Michael Chandler. If I look at this and say, who's the person as an MMA fighter putting everything together, body, mind, everything, it's Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is the smarter fighter. Dustin Poirier he handles the fight in a fashion that's better. Now, but the one thing I want to say in this is, in a 3-round fight, there is a difference in fighting Michael Chandler than there is in a 5-round fight.
Yep.
If this was a 5-round fight, I would say I take Dustin Poirier all day long. In a 3-round fight, though, you could have Michael Chandler winning this fight because he, again, physically, he is a talented fighter. He is physically strong. He is fast. He's got power in his hands. There's things that match up in this fight that I look and I go, Chandler does have a very wide stance. Dustin Poirier does a very good job at throwing that low calf kick out there and attacking that front leg. I think he's going to attack Chandler's front leg. But this is a fight that could go either way. Based upon it being 3 rounds, I think it does favor. The 3 rounds favors Chandler where the 5 rounds would have favored Poirier. But you take a look, and both these guys are just outstanding fighters. I love watching both of them. That's why I think it's a great fight.
John, that was the biggest bullshit cop-out PC shit I've ever seen. You basically just pushed. You pushed.
I didn't push.
That's what you did.
It's very simple. I'm picking Dustin Poirier to win this fight.
I thought you just said Chandler in 3 rounds.
No, I said the 3 rounds favors him.
Oh,
I'm still picking.
Okay.
Everything I do, every fight I look at, I always look and say, physically, who's more talented, but mentally, who's the smarter fighter. And you could take a look at Dustin's fight, especially his second and third fights. The first one showed exactly what I'm talking about. Dustin did not fight a smart fight against Conor McGregor. He went out there, he wanted to knock him out. Look at what he did in the second fight and the third fight by being smart, by having enough maturity to say, I don't need to get into that, gunslinging battle right now. This is how I'm going to win the fight. Mike can be drawn into the gunslinging battle because Mike wants to be exciting. Mike wants the fans to talk about his fights, and that's okay. As long as you're okay with possibly losing, because you look at his fight with Justin Gaethje, Mike had all kinds of opportunities to utilize a skill set that he's better at than Justin and never did. He did it once. The fight was basically out of his hands. Mm-hmm. And you can't fight that way. You've got to fight the fight that will lead you to victory. You got to be smart. You got to be smart throughout it. And it's not that Mike's not a smart person. It's just at times he doesn't fight smart, and I've watched him too many times get into these gunslinging battles because he kind of likes it. That's why I picked Dustin.
All right. I think there's a couple ways to look at this fight. Dustin Poirier, I agree with you, is, I think, obviously the smarter fighter when he gets in that cage. His fight IQ is a lot better. What scares me about Dustin is that he is a slow starter.
This is true.
He will sometimes give away
and
round
Chandler's
one.
a fast starter.
And Chandler is a fast starter. So when we're talking about, look, and you hit it right on the nail on the head. This fight definitely favors Chandler in a 3-round fight. No doubt about it. Chandler, though, finds ways to not fight smart. He will keep this on the feed. He will, instead of wrestling and utilizing that pedigree of which he is really good, and he is nasty when he gets on top. He's got vicious elbows, nasty ground and pound, short and stocky, hard to get off of you because of his height and stature. He just, I don't know if you ever had somebody that's short like that, like Volkanovski. I used to train with another guy named Justin Wilcox. Same thing. He's so small and so strong. You kick them back and they just hit the ground and bounce back on top of you. There's nothing you can do to really get them off of you. And that's why a lot of people, when they're talking about Volkanovski and Islam, always going to have a hard time holding him down because he's so small, this and that. Chandler's the same way from the bottom as well as from the top. Nasty elbows. He throws everything with bad intention, which is also something that works against him in a 5-round fight. Absolutely. You go back and watch his first Benson fight. In that rounds 4 and 5, he was sucking wind. He was surviving. He was surviving in those rounds. This is one of those fights in a 3-round fight. I'm going to lean, like I agree with you, I'm going to lean towards Chandler in a 3-round fight, but I'm also going to take Dustin because I think if Dustin fights smart, he lets Chandler, he puts pressure on Chandler, puts Chandler in uncomfortable situations, keeps his defense high, and just touches him with the boxing. I think you're going to see another fight how Gaethje and Chandler fought. But Dustin's going to make it look easier and he's going to make it look smoother because Dustin's the more refined boxer / kickboxer, whatever you want to call it. I think those leg kicks will play a factor. Chandler has a hard time with leg kicks. He's always had a hard time with leg kicks.
He has gotten better.
He has got a little bit better, but I'm surprised not a lot of guys have really tried to go to the well on his calf. His calf, he's weak in those areas, but Dustin's also southpaw. So that inside leg kick will be there. But where also Chandler's weak is the body kicks. He doesn't handle them very well. He keeps his elbows up high. His hands are always out wide. His elbows are up high. Yep. And that southpaw stance goes right to the body kick, as well as when he starts to hit to the body, starts to drop the elbow and the head kick is there. All of those things lead to potentially him getting in a lot of trouble if he doesn't try to press Dustin to the fence, try to get the takedowns, control Dustin underneath them where he's outside of that range. No one's been able to ever submit Michael Chandler. He's never been submitted. He is a dog in there. If Dustin thinks he's going to get him in that arm and guillotine, defending the takedown that way, you may have another thing coming, man. I know you have a great arm and guillotine. I've seen it. We've saw it with Khabib. We've seen it with other fighters. He's phenomenal. But Chandler's one of those guys. He will go to sleep or he will gut it out all the way through trying to get that thing off. He will let you rip his neck off. He's one of those kind of guys.
Yep.
So, like I said, I'm going to go back to what you were saying. I favor Chandler in a 3-round fight because those type of fights are tailor-made for him. But then I go back into Dustin. If he gets a decent first-round start, and he's able to kind of sneak that round or make it close so 1 or 2 judges will give it to him, I give it to, obviously, I think Dustin's going to win this fight. Just all the tools, the weapons, all of those things. And Chandler's just been known to be the dumbest fighter in there when it comes to his fight IQ. Like, he could make these fights so easy for himself. And I know he's getting paid well. I respect that. I love that. And I know the fact is he's already brought it up in several of his interviews. He came here to be exciting because he wants people to remember his fights. Go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code Wayne and they'll give you additional spending cash with your first initial deposit.